this will be the 2019 overview portion of your January reading. So, as you can see, I've already laid out the cards for January, and you should watch that video also if you want a better idea, because the whole 2019 reading is going to play off of your January reading. I think the first month of the year really sets the tone for what's going to happen to you over the course of the year, and it's important to set a good foundation. This is your house of self. So, as I mentioned, Aries is the first house, house of self, house of beginnings. And so we will start there and work our way around. Because where the beginning is in the past. Here, where there was a very superficial lifestyle going on, we see you as the fool, and we see you here as the fool inverse. So that's very important to remember. Do not make a fool of yourself. So this is the Seven of Spades, which is like the Seven of Swords. In this case, it's a bunch of fallen leaves, and that is the second house, which is ruled by Taurus, the house of possessions. And Taurus is fixed earth sign, so it's got very much that energy. But maybe loss. And I sense this more as something that you have gone through over the past year that's going to mark 2019. You kind of like clearing away these dead leaves. We have here in the third house, which is the house of communication, the King of Hearts. He's a little baby fetus skeleton. Very sensitive individual. Could be you, or it could be someone with whom you are very close. But third house is governed by the house of communication. So most likely that will be how you are interacting with the world around you, coming from a place of emotional maturity. Not as much this energy of the Fool as coming from a place of spiritual enlightenment. So we have here the Eight of Spades, and it's here under this doorway of conjecture. And that is the fourth house, which is ruled by Cancer, and is the house of your home life and your family, and how you nurture people. Cancer is a water sign, which goes with the King of Hearts, really. Hearts are a very watery suit. But the Eight of Spades is more about feeling overwhelmed. He's got so many tentacles, and it's like being trapped by this creature of the deep, and feeling a little dragged down by it. But I feel like you will be coming great steps forward in domesticity, if not partnership. I think you're learning right now how to be a good partner. So we have the Queen of Clubs here, and it is in the fifth house of creativity and passion, which is actually, the Queen of Clubs is a fire sign card, and I think of it as the Leo card because I think I align myself with the Queen of Clubs, and I think that it's very telling that that energy is so strong in the fifth house. So yeah, like I mentioned, the fifth house is where the sun resides, and it is the house of Leo. And so for her to be there staring at you in the face with all of her green finery beckons you to share her energy. So the sixth house is governed by Virgo, which is an earth sign, and is also your daily life and health. Be careful. Look, this little skeleton man is cutting down this tree. It could be a good time to get any blood work done that you've been postponing, or any kind of malady that you have kind of just tried to push under the rug. It's a good time for you to start looking into that. So, the seventh house is Libra, and it's also the house of marriage and partnerships. And you see this very bull-headed gentleman here, and I don't always read these cards as upright or inverse, but in this particular case, I am going to read this card as inverse because it looks very much like you are standing in your own way as far as being able to be in a happy and fulfilling relationship is concerned. And he's kind of cornering some of these other cards like domesticity here, speculation, the transformation. These are all about the sense of self, and he's very close to those cards. And this being your future, and like I said about the animal husbandry, I think this all ties very much in together. And yeah, So, 8th house is Scorpio, and it is the house of sex and death and other people's money. And it looks like we've got all of those things in this Ace of Clubs card here. It's the penis card. It's very phallic. I mean, it's all about male virility, your interactions with people that are based around your power as a man. You don't have to be a man to have a dick. And it looks like in 2019, you will be getting your rocks off quite a bit. This is the 9. I believe this is the 9 of spades. And it's this turtle skeleton. So that's the 9th house. That's Sagittarius. That's your education, higher learning, travel. And it's ruled by Jupiter, which is a very strong energy. And it's a fellow fire sign. So I think there's something about the death of small animals. You can find little rodent skulls. I used to wear a rodent skull around my neck. And there's also the kind of anxiety you have when you care for a small animal and it either passes away or runs away and you don't know what's become of it. And I think that's the kind of anxiety that's tied up in this card. So perhaps it's that there's something as far as your education that you really wish that you had tied up more of the loose ends on. And that it's kind of like this nagging sort of a fear about it. It's kind of a nagging, uncomfortable. It could be your education. It could be travel. It could be feeling like there's a trip that you're taking and you don't feel like you're prepared for it. Or it could be that you wanted to take a trip and because you didn't, other things didn't fall into place. It's a very intriguing card. We may end up pulling some clarifiers for that one. This is the 10th house. Huh. I treat this card as the art of play. That's the company that made this deck, but I don't like taking cards out of the deck, honestly. I like to play them as they lie. Especially when I'm reading with a deck of cards instead of a proper tarot deck. If it's a proper deck, I'll take the end cards out because usually it says stuff like Los Scarabeo and, you know, this deck, blah, 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 illustrators. And it's not very good for divination, but sometimes they'll include stuff like this into playing card decks, and I find it absolutely inspiring to leave these in and then use them. Because the 10th house is and it is governed by Capricorn and the planet Saturn, which is notorious for being serious and slow. So I think what you should really do in 2019 is to focus on the art of play. And it's up here next to your pilgrimage. Look, this is getting closer to your pilgrimage. So, you know, Maybe what's going on here is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So what we need to do is go here. La da 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 da. And then the last two cards here. Okay. Yeah, look how close these two are to each other. You're really just gonna give them to them, aren't you? Whether they want it or not. Don't do that. And really, if you're looking at this house versus your hopes and fears, being afraid that you're going to be in a career that's not fulfilling to you, that you're not passionate about, I think it's very important to take that into account. What do we have? The 11th house, Aquarius. That's your hopes and wishes too. Speaking of, that's the Ace of Hearts. You do want love in your life. You do want to have love in your life. But I think there's just a lot more going on in 2019 that is much more pressing. And then finally, Pisces, the endings, very, very uncertain because we haven't seen the ending yet, right? It's the future, and it's mutable, and it's a water sign, which means it's ever so slippery, like nailing jello to the wall. And that is the Jack of Spades, Jack of Swords. We've got this very dapper, steampunk looking gentleman here. And I don't think of Jacks as Jack of all trades, master of none. The Knight of Swords is a very direct, quick-witted person, but not necessarily always conscious of other people's emotions. So what ends up happening is you tell somebody the truth and they get their feelings hurt, and then they have to go far, far away. So just, keep this in mind. Don't slip into feeling like you've got this big dick, you want to swing it around. That's what this guy's talking about too. This is all about the partnerships, this is all about the sex. And rather than evolving, don't move backward as you move forward. Alright, well, like I was going to draw some more information on this card, but now that everything is laid out and it's sitting right here next to Pilgrimage and kind of adjacent to this card and adjacent to this card about your fulfilling career, I kind of think it fits right where it is. Alright, Aries, well, good luck in 2019, and I will be working on doing monthly readings throughout the year. That is one of my goals. I've been with it okay over the past couple months, but only time will tell. Only time will tell. But thank you very much, and I hope you have a great year.